Whole numbers, place value. Whole numbers are counting numbers that start at 0 and continue to infinity. So this means it's going to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just continue on forever. So what's important to know is they do not include negative numbers or decimals or fractions. So now let's talk about place value for whole numbers. So if we have a really large number, say for instance, we have a really large number here. These commas are here to separate kind of after every third, we have a comma. When we start off from the far right and we move to the left. So when we talk about place value, we're going to start on the far right. So we see this 8. This 8 is a representative of our ones place value. The next one is our tens. Then we have hundreds. So that 3 is in the hundreds place. So we have like 300. So thus far we have 3 hundreds, we have 2 tens, and 8 ones. Next, let's move on. So we have a comma, which separates it to the then thousands. So we have, we'll go a little bit lower, thousands. And then this 4 is our, which is kind of like what's on the first what we've done. So it's kind of, there's a pattern. There's 10 thousands. Then we move on to the 2, which is our 100 thousands. Then we have this comma, which then goes into our millions. So now we have millions. Then we move on to the left to this 4, which is our 10 millions. And then we move on to the last 3, which is our 100 millions. So now that we've done this, let's go over a few examples. So our example 1. There are 168 hours in a week. What number is in the tens place value? So let's go ahead and rewrite this number. 168. So this 8 is in our 1 spot. We move to the left and we get to our 10 spot. So it's our 6 that's in our tens place value. So we would say 6 is in the tens place value. Or we could just type in the number 6 to our problems. Now, let's do another example. Example 2. Terry wants to drive from Moses Lake to San Diego. He would have to travel 1,231 miles. What number is in the hundreds place value? So let's go ahead and just rewrite this. So we have the 1 is in the ones place value. Then we have the 3, which is in our tens. And then we move on to the left one more time, and then we get to our hundreds. So the 2 is in the hundreds place value. So we could just put the 2 for the hundreds place value. And now we can go ahead and write this. So first we have the 1, just so we kind of cement this into our brains. We have the 3, which is our tens. The 2 is in our hundreds, which is why we wrote this 2 right here. Then we move on. We see that there's a comma, so we know there's a change. So we know we're going into our thousands. Also, sometimes they don't even write the comma, so don't always count on the comma being there. Now, let's do another example. Example 3. For a data technician job posting, the starting salary is $49,500 for a certain company. What number is in the place value for the 10,000? So let's go ahead and rewrite this number. So we start at our ones place value. Then we move on to the left, which is our tens. Then we go on to our hundreds. Then we do this 9, which is our thousands. And then next we have our 10,000s. So we would say 4 is the place value for the 10,000. So that would be our answer. Now, let's go ahead and look at another example. Example 4. Depression is a common mental disorder and is estimated to affect more than 264 million of the world's population. What number is in the place value for the 100 million? So for this, we'll rewrite the number. So we want the 100 million. We start on the far right. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. We have a comma, so we know we're going to now millions. But we need 100 million, so we keep going. We have 10 millions, and then we have our 100 millions. So the 2 is our 100 million place value. So our answer would be the 2.